Hi guys, welcome to some action on GT Sports Beta. Of course the beta has now expired, but hopefully we'll get a future closed beta as we get ever closer to launch. We're going to be looking at some racing action here from the Tokyo Expressway. This is the central outer loop. So gaining a position there already, we're in 9th place. This is a 4-lap race. And we are on board the Renault Megane RS Trophy from 2011. This is of course one of the N400 class cars, which is the slowest class in GT Sports. As we go into the tunnel section. So this was only my second race at this track. You can see when I'm looking behind me, the screen actually goes all dark and then it slowly illuminates. That's one effect that I found I wasn't a big fan of. And it really does affect your visibility, of course. You know, you're looking for that car behind you, but you have to wait a second for it actually to illuminate. So that was a very baffling feature. I don't know why they have that in place. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to mimic the eye. You know, we don't have enough sufficient light going into your eye. It takes a little while for your eye to adjust to that lighting. But for me, it just doesn't work. As we come around this right-hander. So a little bit of contact on the wall there. It is very tricky. This was only my second race, and you know, in a front-wheel drive car, of course, it's going to be understeering, so you do have to, you know, complete a few laps to get the hang of the layout. Particularly satisfying section that left-hander into this tunnel. You can sometimes take it flat, or they're nearly flat at least, and it is very satisfying when you do get some good speed through that turn. So coming up towards the end of the first lap. Still in 9th position, so it is a tricky course to overtake on because it is so narrow. So it's a bit like, I guess it's a bit like Monaco in a way, because you've got these barriers so close to you and you've only got a handful of places where you can really sort of lay the hammer down and try and get the overtake. But I did notice that some people were actually using the barriers to, you know, go around the track quicker, which was unfortunate to see. There is mechanical damage in this particular build, but it is temporary, and you really do have to smack your car up good to get any real sort of substantial damage. But just going to show you a quick example now of some wall riding in action, just to see what is possible on its current build. So there we have it then. So it's definitely a quicker way to tackle the stage. And certainly, you know, polyphony will have to have you know, some damage in place to stop people from doing that, because that, you know, people have been doing that for a long time, since the early days of GT, and it is one of those things that they just have to rectify, because it does sort of make a mockery of the whole GT Sport element of the game. You know, particularly when you factor in that the FIA is involved in this game. You know, they have to stamp out any sort of wall riding whatsoever. But of course it is early days still with a beta. Of course the game does come out later in the year, and it'll be interesting to see how it all comes into place. Now they've introduced mechanical damage, you know, this will be tweaked and fine-tuned, and you know, the future is exciting for GT Sport as long as they've got damage and, you know, penalties in place which you know, enable people to not cheat. So it's going to be a tricky balance, of course, as it always is with computer games, because, you know, you don't see this in racing. You won't see wall riding in real racing, because, you know, that's going to cost a lot of money, a lot of expense to repair the cars. So we're on the 3rd lap before then. My sportsmanship rating continues to go up, and we're sort of stuck in between these sort of front runners and the back runners at the moment. So we're in this sort of bubble in 9th position. We've got a 10th place car behind me, you can see in the rear view mirrors, but under no pressure immediately at the moment. Building up some good speed here as we get on the brakes into this right-hander through the tunnel. Lots of understeer there coming off the accelerator, and here very tricky right-hander. This very tight, so easy to get wrong, and especially this left-hander as well. Just narrowly avoiding the barriers there into a right, so you've really got to hug the right-hand side here of this turn to get yourself lined up for this left-hander, where you can really put a lot of power down. So about 100 plus miles per hour through there. Very satisfying. That to me is the most satisfying turn of the track. You've got to hit the brakes here. This very sort of deceptive left-hander, 4th gear through here. A little bit of a contact from the car behind. I think he actually hit the barriers rather than hitting the back of my car there. So it's very easy to get it wrong. And so far, in 9th place pretty much all the way through the race. So perhaps not the most exciting of races, but it does give you a good look at the track, and I'm able to share my opinions on the track here. So, you know, much like the preview version, we said that the track sort of lacked life, and that's pretty much the case here. It hasn't really moved on a massive amount. You know, just no one watching you. There's no cheering crowds. It's very grey, isn't it? It's very even the lighting is, you know, it's very dull. But I've got to say, I was pretty impressed with the track in terms of its flow. As I said, it does take a bit of getting used to. Some of these turns are very deceptive, so but once you get your head around it, it is a pretty satisfying track to drive on. But in terms of overtaking, you know, it's one of those tracks that's it's going to be hard to overtake without it becoming bumper cars, because it is so narrow. Now you can see the car behind me closing the gap now as we come through the last few turns of the track, and again the car behind hitting the side of the track there, the very same place as he did, or she did, in the last lap. So coming around the right hander then, which will bring me on to the start finish straight. So that was it for a look at the Tokyo Expressway Central Outer Loop track, and we'll have a couple more videos coming up on the GT Sport Beta soon. Thanks for watching.
Well, how do you like it?
Makes me feel